Hi folks, welcome to my humble off-grid homestead in the forest, and welcome to my apothecary. Um, I'm going to attempt to do a series of videos on everything that I've learned in relation to tree identifications, plant identification, and their uses. But when I say the uses, I mean as it pertains to not necessarily their medicinal uses, because I don't want you to. I want you to do your own research. I don't want to be responsible for telling you what you could use them for, and if there are any issues after that, then it'll come back to me. Behind me, directly behind me, you can't see, is today's lesson, kids, called this white tree. This doesn't look as white right now, but trust me, this is actually, it gets actually whiter than this, and I'm looking around me, there's a lot of them. It's called white birch, or sometimes known as paper birch, and there are I would say at least 60 different types of them, varieties, species of white birch, and or birch, I should say, because not just white, because there's also golden or yellow birch. I don't see one near where I'm standing, so I can point the camera to. They are. This is a hardwood, but yellow golden birch is even a harder wood. The harder any particular wood is, as you may know, the longer it takes to grow. The rings are closer, and it's a slow growing tree. So these ones, the white birch, is not as hard as yellow birch. And on the scale of hardwood hardness, this is maybe 2 or 3 steps lower than a golden yellow birch. The yellow golden birch is just as beautiful, maybe even more beautiful than white birch. Now, actually, I gathered some planning here for you today, huh? When they are younger, this is a younger one, and you know the difference between a younger white birch, if you can still see it, than just a branch. This could easily be a branch of that one, but the reason why this isn't a branch, this is an actually younger one, like a young teen one, as opposed to this one that's say good 20-30 years old, is that when white birch or paper birch is younger, it's actually a different color. It's not white at all. It's actually a darker brown, and more like this shade of brown, if you can see. And then as it gets older, it sheds that, just like snakes and whatever, they shed their skin. And then as it sheds that under it, this is just an old dead one, that's why it looks like it does, dies, and it gets replaced by white, beautiful white, really white. Oh, it's one behind me. Oh, that's fallen. That's actually good. I don't have to. But now, how can I show you it? It's a long one. It's not in pieces. Gosh. Maybe I'll just take you and show you the different. There's one right there. It's close. So anyway, when it's younger, it's a different color. It's brown, then it turns kind of a golden color. But this is not golden birch, and then it turns white. Now, the native. This is most popular in Canada, but you can't find them in Northern Europe and Scandinavian countries. They like colder climates. They don't like dry, hotter, warmer climates. So here there are lots of them. The native, I say native, I don't know if that's politically correct. First Nations, uh, say First Nations used to use them. You might have seen these in some older books, maybe textbooks. They used to make many things out of the bark of this tree, like baskets, different size baskets, canoes. You might have seen canoes, be really beautiful. And for that, this particular tree is one of the reasons why it's so special, is because it has two layers of protection. First is what you see is this paper, flaky bark, or not even a bark. It's like, imagine like a light jacket on you have on, and then under that you have about a half an inch, almost half an inch thick bark. And so they would with a knife they would draw a line, not carve, but draw a line, and then split that bark open. Now, knowing how conscious they were and they are still, and of the natural world, they would not have done it to a living tree, because once you do that to a live living tree, it pretty much dies because it's now exposed. In fact, this very first layer of protection, this white thin paper that's on top of that bark, has oils in it, a couple of different kinds of oils, and sometimes used in both pharmaceutical and nutraceutical medicine, and or lotions and topical uses. So even if that wasn't there and the bark under it was exposed, the tree can still get sick. So that's its line of defense against herbicides, pesticides. Its own has its own herbicides and pesticides, but natural ones that we're after. And so we can use that, but for different things. So they have healing properties, not just for the tree, but you can mix that with. This is where I don't want to tell you. I hesitate to tell you about the uses, or in particular, I don't want to tell you exactly. I don't want to, definitely don't want to demonstrate how you make this, how you make the oils and whatever out of, because I know there are folks out there that would probably, once they find out the true worth of these trees, they'll go out and try to exploit it like they exploit everything else, like they do to maples. By the way, you can tap this too, just like a maple tree would be, but the sugar content of the sap of this tree is not as much as a maple tree, or in particular sugar maple tree. That's a different video on a different tree. Today we're talking about the white birch, which I also don't want people tapping. I mean, for personal use, I've not tapped any of our trees on our property, but you know, and you're probably thinking, why don't you show us how to do get the essential oils out of the paper, or whatever else, and I'll tell you what whatever else is in a second, because you can probably go to some other video and find that out, and I understand that. But the thing is that by me not showing it, I have a more of a clearer conscience, knowing that I wasn't the one that showed, not just you, because I can trust you, most of you, but I don't know who's watching this video, and they're going to run to the forest and start exploiting this particular tree in this particular case. And and I've had that experience. I've had a neighbor come from away from the city, just as we did, and he was within a week or two, he was telling me he was showing me and telling me about all this. Well, I guess now it's time to mention that other uses for it. Something called chaga, which some people think of as a fungus or a mushroom. It's not. It's a conker. And what happens, the way that forms, and I have one on this particular tree, that's why I'm in front of it, not only 20 feet away from the main building, and I haven't picked it. And what happens is, in nature, and in particular in this particular tree, which is they like to grow on, if there's a gouge, if a tree falls, and trees fall in the forest all the time, if a tree falls and another branch or another tree gouges it or something, now it's got a wound that's exposed. But unlike evergreens that have their own saps, that what they make turpentine out of, I'm looking at a fir, it doesn't have that. So it doesn't have that gooey sap. So what it has to do is come up with another line of another way of healing that particular area. And in this case, it forms that chaga, and then as it grows, it seals itself. And now that chaga, now here's the part about me not wanting to tell you about what it's good for, because I don't want to be responsible. But in Russia, for instance, they've been using it, has anti-cancer properties. It's high in vitamins. I mean, maybe you should look that up on your own, so I don't have to say that. But some people grind it and put it in their coffee to take the bitterness of the coffee away. I haven't harvested any of ours. If someone gives me a chunk of it, then I keep it and I use it as a tea, and I can add some few drops of vanilla in it, which I love, and everything. Extract that we make our own of. But I've not gone into our forest and to harvest the chaga, because, like I was saying, this particular neighbor harvested so much and he has some big chunks. Now, when you remove that, just imagine what I just said about what the tree does, the reason why that starts to grow, that growth on that tree. It's doing it to protect itself from exposure to pests and make itself resistant to attack. And now this guy or folks go and take that whole thing off, because, well, it has value. It's expensive, and expensive. I mean, expensive. How can I expensive? I guess it's a. It depends on what it's subjective. It depends on what you think expensive is, but to some folks, it's found money, and like, oh, it didn't cost me anything, so I'm gonna go. And they sell it by the weight. The people that sell that stuff, they break it up to smaller pieces and they weigh it on like a scale, and it's almost anyway. Let's not go there. So that's one of the other uses that it has. And I mentioned that they make canoes out of. Now, 200-300 years ago, this particular tree, back to White Birch again, if you were to, the Native Americans and Native Canadians, as probably more Native Canadians because it grows in colder climates. If you were to, have you ever heard of pitch? Pitch. If it sounds like, if you're thinking pitch like pitch black, you would be right, and that's where pitch black came from. It's a resin that comes out of it, and you could maybe something like this. Can you see this? Okay. It comes out of it when you heat it slowly, and they used to heat it slowly on a fire pit, near a fire pit, not on the fire anywhere, because it has to kind of ooze out. And then they would collect that, scrape it off and collect it, and add bunny poop. Bunny poop, if you don't have a bunny pet, or you've never had a bunny pet, or any pet or anyone that has had one, like a beautiful little round, fibrous, whatever, pellets. And when they're fresh, they're light green. When they're older, they're, if I see, and they do poop in a pile, not a pile, but I mean, you could, like 20, 30 of them. And they're odorless. They're not gooey like a dog's poop or human poop would be. Beautiful little marbles. And so they would add that plus ash, which you already have from the fire, and they would mix these three together. What ratio, I don't really know. I haven't done it. And that used to be, for instance, I mentioned canoes. So it's like a goo. It's a tar. It's actually exactly like acts like tar, and it looks like tar. I don't know what it smells like, but anyway. So when um, the First Nations used to make their canoes, so from the barks, well, if they would overlap or if there would be joints in between, you want it to be watertight, because if you put it in the water and it's not watertight, it would get filled up. So they would use this pitch. They would keep it warm, like pliable, because it does harden like tar, and they would keep it pliable, and they just work it into the cracks and it fill, or joints, and they would seal those, just the joints, and then before they're actually using the canoe, they would put it in the water just by the shore close by, and just maybe one person in it, just to see where the water comes in from, if they missed anything, and they would either cover that up, or where they missed, or put more on if there was a tiny bit of a spring, because you don't want to be in the middle of open water and then notice that. Now, in their pouches, they would have always had a little supply of this with them, of pitch, because it's hardened by then. I liken it to sort of like a cyclist would have a little patch of rubbery plastic and glue with them, in case they get a puncture on their tire somewhere in the wilderness. There's no bicycle shops, and they could repair that, because like hawthorn needles, or even this one has needles that can puncture, and so they would have that, because if you're in open water and sometimes you need to reapply it. I mean, everything, folks, everything needs maintenance. Your house, your car, your clothes, you yourself. And so your canoe is no different. I know it takes time to build a canoe, and it takes maybe just as long to put the tar in the joints and make sure it's water sealed or waterproof. But it's not something you do one time and you're done. And so they always had a supply of pitch with them. So if they needed to do it from time to time, reapply it, they would reapply it. That's another use for it. The chaga I already mentioned. And here I want to draw your attention to this. Has different names. Let me come closer. Are you able to see this? This is a sort of a fungi, whatever. That grows. You can see how it grows on white birch, and it's fairly secure. And underneath, it's just like any other sort of a mushroom. It's very soft and velvety. Smells like a mushroom. This one smells really good. You can tell the different. This one is older. It's lost. This tree's been down for a while. You can see how dowdy it is, and that white substance that you see, that's the beginning of what that pitch would have looked like, coming out, sort of a sappy thing, and it would turn black. But sorry, I'm just going to get another sniff of this. So good. Oh man. So this and it looks like a mushroom from this angle if you would look at it. And I actually have some examples of this that are bigger than my hand. 5, maybe even 10 times bigger. And so do you folks remember a few years back they found what they named the Iceman in the high Alps somewhere, when some ice had melted, and he still has his skin on. It's like a 5,000-year-old man with a sling, like a pouch, and on him in the pouch they found one of these say funguses. And this is what they use. What he would have used this as. They would carry this as a fire starter. I'm sure there are many videos on that, and it's for like the preppers know all about that. But it has other uses. Again, hesitant to mention, but now that I mentioned it, now I kind of have to. So you can eat this, but it's bitter. But don't do your own research. Don't Don't just take my word for anything. All right. Okay. So they would slice this really thin, like less than quarter of an inch, and they will put this on their wounds like a cut or a gouge or something. And not only it heals the wound, it doesn't even scar after when you're done, when it's healed. There's no evidence of any scar. Now, of course, pharmaceuticals are going to be looking after this, looking for this, and maybe paying money for trying to figure out what components are in it that they can use, and they have already. And but I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just, when I say welcome to my apothecary, I mean this is really my every nature provides everything you need to survive if you have to, as far as food or if you get injured. Now, this is one other thing I want to show you. So whimsical. This is for Agato. I haven't said whimsical in a long time. Maybe I'll come closer so you can see. Gee, I don't need my glasses right now. Let me put these away. I have my hands free. Check this out, folks. Oh, well, the tree is this way. You want to see this way? I just thought it'd be easier the other way. This tree would have been roughly 10 years old when it died. I mean, I don't know. I haven't counted the rings, but it's too dowdy to tell. So what these dots, these whimsical dots, are for is a woodpecker would come in. Woodpeckers are usually one of the first birds that arrive, possibly at the same time as robin redbreasts. And when they come, there's still, good amount of snow on the ground, but they're thirsty from where they've traveled, and they need nutrients. You can't get to what's under the snow. So where do they get what they need? So this is their way of tapping. This is their way of tapping and accessing that sort of a sugary sap. So what they do, they sit. It's amazing. You have to. It's hard for me. I'm not a very good explainer. Not good at explaining. Anyway, so unlike most other birds, woodpeckers, they land and they do their business standing up. When I say business, I mean their work standing up, as opposed to other birds that are more in a 90-degree angle to whatever they're doing when they're to the ground, like an L shape, but they're parallel to the tree. So if this is the tree, they're like, if my hand is the boy, this is heavy. If my hand is the woodpecker and this is the tree, this is the head of the woodpecker. It's just amazing how they can hold on. And as they peck at this, and this pecking hard, this is hardwood. This is a dead one, and it has quite a weight to it still, and it's dry too. It's not like it's wet and has moisture, and then you would think that every time it would peck at it, it would get, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. But look how thick that bark is that they have to tap into to get into. So they start somewhere, top or bottom, peck. Where are you? Peck. Start again, peck. Do this all around. By the time they get back to where they started, now the sap starts to come out. They start drinking that sap, which is nutritious. It's like an elixir for them, for us too. Shouldn't have said that. But once the tree dries or the sap is gone or whatever, this is what you're left with. It's just really an artwork. If I go to an art gallery and I see this, I'm more inclined to this kind of thing. I'm more drawn to something like this at an art gallery than a painting, which I love. I love paintings and artwork done by humans, but this speaks to me so much more. I don't mean any offense. I just like something that nature creates, like rocks that you may not even think of as something that was formed by pressure of different layers of things. But paintings, yeah, I love paintings, but this to me, this speaks to me. So I collect these things. I don't burn them. I have a few of them in my gathering place. So this is how, possibly how the First Nations got the idea of how to collect the sap of white birch. Probably saw some liquid coming back from it, remnants of a woodpecker had been there, or maybe they scared away a woodpecker and they licked it and said, "Well, that's good. I can have some of that." And then they started maybe tapping it at that time. Not sure, but I'm talking something like 10,000 years ago now. Well, let me just leave this here. Other uses. I mean, this tree is not done giving. The other uses of it is, in particular, I think this is maybe for golden birch. I'm not sure, but if you look, you can't look. It's too high, and I don't see one nearby that's alive. So a tip of a brand new branch, like especially at this time of year, like springtime. If you were to chew on it or suck on it, for a little bit, not like really heavy duty, it's masticating, just gently, you'll have the same mental sort of a what's in the toothpaste or the chemicals that are in that sort of thing, and that's what they used to use to sort of like brush their teeth with, or natural enzymes to break down whatever tartar or bacteria in your mouth. But that's way up top. I don't have one nearby to show you. There's a. Can you hear that? We have a forest school across the property, and this is amazing because we're in the middle of the woods. There's no other neighborhoods, or we're super rural, but we have this school. I like the sound of the kids, but just letting you know what that sound is that you're hearing. Let me take the camera up, pick the camera up, and take you to show you. I want to show you two things. One, white birch that's younger, and this one, the paper of that, and also the chaga that's there. But I don't know how much hope I'll have. Let me put my glasses on, and that would be it for today's lesson of white paper birch. But I'm sure there are more that I missed. See that paper? Okay, maybe you can't see. So this paper peels off really easily, and because of the oils it has in it, it's amazing for a fire starter. Where's my hand? Okay, see it? Looks and sounds like paper. This is actually a better fire starter than the golden birch. I don't want to peel it too much because this is actually a protective cover. Now if I go, actually while I'm here, let me show you that chaga. That's called chaga. I can't zoom anymore, it's just a regular camera. You see those two little knobbins kind of thing, brownish? Yeah. Anyway, so let me just take you to, excuse me, take you to a younger white birch. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Younger birch tree and its paper. So you see how, and it's gorgeous in it's really, to me, this is an artwork. The details, it's like somebody painted this with really fine brush strokes. But if I were to peel this off, under it you'll see another younger layer. Can you see? I hope you can. So where's my hand? So if I were to peel this off, you'll see another layer already ready. And even this very one that I'm holding, see on the back of it, there's another layer behind it. As thin as this is, and look how thin it is. As thin as it is, it's many layers still. I don't want to peel any more than that. But if you are stuck somewhere, I know that an insect. You see? You see? Huh? And that thing, I don't know what it is, was trying to bore into, oh, fell down, this branch that had fallen off. But little does it know that it's got protective properties there. But it's not going to stop an insect. This is like a battle that's been going on with trees and insects for millions of years. Insects try to lay their larvae in there, which is one of the other reasons why woodpeckers go at trees. And trees try to find a way to combat them. Anyway, I was talking about, I was here talking about this beautiful jacket, and you see those lines there. These lines turn different color lines as they get older, and even different now with sort of a dotted, scabby look to them. And then after that, they turn like this. So it sheds this as you go. As I walk in the forest, as I move around and do my thing, I see beautiful, big pieces that are like foot or two long papers. Like if I can liken it to, something. If you've ever done for your walls wallpaper rolls, what they look like, and that's just naturally shedding itself. Those are beautiful to have, and even when they're wet, they'll light. If you're in a situation where you need to light a fire, but don't take too much. You don't need too much. Don't leave the tree exposed, please. Here's something that I can show you. I mentioned that they're a different color when they're younger. So here's something. Sorry if the camera is too shaky. Now look side by side. Look, on the right. Where's my finger? This bunch here, which called coppicing. I'm doing that on purpose. There should only be one, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Right? And this here is the same tree as that. You see how one's white, one's not? But this one will turn white. Because of, it's amazing how they're only 2, 3 feet away, but one has access to better nutrients, as you can see, even though this is younger than the white one. You can tell because the white one is already starting to turn white. Shed its darker darker cover, and because this one has better access to better nutrients, it's gotten bigger, even though it's younger. Whereas the one on the left, is smaller, but it's older. Isn't that fascinating? Anyway, so this is what it looks like when it's younger. This is the color of it, much darker, then beautiful shade of brown, and then eventually turns to this color, which is white. You can see how this one's kind of going from that darker to eventually white. Anyway, folks, I was talking about the branches. This is very, very early in the season. So now this is sort of a late bloomer. What you want for the chewing is what I'm talking about, is before basically the leaves open. So you would have missed the opportunity here to do that. Oh, here's one that's in transition. The colors are going from, see? Perfect, brilliant. Look, brilliant. I couldn't find a better example than this. So look, here is the baby teenage skin that is shedding, and look under it. There's a little bit of remnants of that color, but then it's turning white. If I just keep going to the white, if I can do this without shaking too much, you see? White. So it's shedding its darker color paper jacket for the white one. All right, see, I wasn't lying to you. Down there, also the same. And as it's stretching, that paper just naturally tears apart the older jacket and falls off. All right, and one day, I will do a different tree for you. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is a tree that I'm saving because I'm never going to finish this video because it looks like a natural staff. That's where your hand would go, where you would hold it. And it's about 6 feet tall, long. All right. Take good care, forks.